everybody. This is part 2 of me making this Rusty Wallace livery. I had to stop doing it for a little while so I can cook my sister some dinner because my father had to work late, so I had to cook some dinner for my sisters, and I had to look at a few more photos of this car because the photos I've been looking at have not been the best quality, or not even close. And as you can see from part 1, I wasn't able to find 2 decals. And every time I don't find a decal, it kind of infuriates me because then this car won't be fully completed. But I'm going to try my best to finish this. Starting off with the Miller Lite logo. According to multiple photos, the Miller Lite logo is this on the side, but on the hood it's not. I don't understand why, but it's confusing. So, let's see here. So the Miller Lite logo is going to be right here because, or at least the light part of it, because the Miller part is going to be sitting right over there. I'm going to put it right here. Duplicate it. Change this color to the gray. And move it like a little outline. Now, if any broadcast and they have questions or have any concerns with what's going on with the livery, let me know if it's something needs to be fixed or not, because I usually try to make these liveries as best as I can. I don't try to rush them. I usually just try to make them perfect as possible. The old Miller logo should be down here, and according to this photo and multiple ones, it says that it's red with a white outline. Now, whenever I make these liveries, you can always find them on GT Sport, or you can just look them under my profile and you should be able to see them all, my gallery. You are free to download them if you wish, but just don't go around saying that you're the one that created them, because that's not right. I mean, if you didn't make it, then why should you go around saying you did? I've had this happen at least once. Some guy decided to say that he made this one livery, and I called him out on it, saying that I was the one that made it. He was apologetic about it, so not much happened. Just things like that just don't go too far with me, so. Another thing is I had to take down that one video I had getting revenge for a friend that was being getting racist. Well, let's say a guy was being racist toward him. I had to take down the video because apparently the guy somehow knew how to turn off my Wi-Fi out of nowhere, or disconnect me from servers. And I know what you're saying. Why don't I just report him for that? Well, technically I can't, because there's something up with PlayStation. Or he's got something that doesn't allow people to do it. So, then again, I'm not going to stress about it. So, plus, it's not really worth my time to worry about things like that. or it's just not my nature to. But I did make sure that if he's caught doing it again, I will do the same thing again. And if he does what he claims he can do, which he did the last time, if he does it again, then probably, I don't know, I probably will have to do something then. If it happens all over again. Now, other things going on in my life as well. Like, as you can all know, I'm part of a racing league, and I have their channel mentioned in my on my YouTube channel, so you should be able to see that, see their channel name on there. We recently had a award show, and I was able to win 3 awards that night. And what they were for was being the most improved Xfinity driver in their league, and the most improved, well, not most improved, most popular Xfinity driver, and also just because I won the regular season title. I'll admit, I was a little nervous. I sometimes get nervous still whenever I'm talking and I know my voice is being shared out there to the public. You guys are probably reason why I'm covering up this portion of the Miller logo is because on the car, this part of the Miller logo doesn't exist on it, so I have to completely get rid of it. It's harder on this side because on the other side it's all in blue, so I will just have to cover it up like a patch. But this, I have to make sure I don't mess with the little stripes here. Okay, I think that's good. Now I gotta make this blue. Now, I may be able to broadcast more because my current semester at college is about to end soon. So I might be able to be on here more, but I'll be working, so I don't know what time would be good for me to broadcast. So that's going to be another thing I have to figure out. Alright, that looks good. Now I gotta do the other side, which means the Miller logo will be right around. I guess I'll go ahead and put the light logo on the side of the car, the opposite side, and move it. Now, honestly, I wish I broadcasted earlier because, oh boy, there'd be so many videos of me just doing this. That'd probably be my main thing on here, was just to make liveries, but back then I really didn't want to do things like this because I didn't think it'd get me anywhere or be entertaining. That, and I didn't know what my family would think. Now, I'm not expecting anything out of this. I'm just doing it just to relieve my boredom whenever I don't have much to do. It's just something to do. Where I live, there's not much to do around here, so this is typically something to just kill some time until I either have to go do something or I have to go to bed. One of the two. Most of the time it's until I have to do something important. I've been making these liveries since I got this game. Oh well, my first livery wasn't the best, but I worked on it and I ended up posting it. My first livery was a recreation of Dale Sr.'s Daytona 500 winning car. And if any of y'all ever seen my stuff on GT Sport, you know that that car has been through different versions of it have been made and published. And I believe the last version I post will be the final version because there's nothing else missing with the car, there's nothing else odd about it that needs to be fixed. I'm hoping to make a victory version where it has tire marks or any pieces of grass in it. That would be a good idea, but that would probably take me longer because I have to look at it and make sure I have the right decals for that. So now I need to put the Harley Davidson logo on the side of this car. And according to this photo, it's right around here. Put it right here. Now, the logo that's supposed to be down there below the Harley Davidson logo is the Linux logo. The problem is I couldn't find it. As you would see in part 1, I couldn't find it anywhere, which I absolutely hate that. Especially when I typed in the words perfectly. I might go back and see if I can find something within just searching up NASCAR decals. Hopefully they have something there. Because I think I used the Linux logo I think not too long ago when this is before I started posting me making liveries on here, but I'm looking for the Boach logo, which is on I believe it's, where is it? Kind of somewhere in here. Oh, here it is. It goes right up here. I think that's good. Down on reverse. When I first started watching NASCAR, I didn't see. Well, I did see Rusty race when I was little. I saw him race the 2 car with Team Penske in his final season. In one of my NASCAR games, I think everyone has seen this, but on NASCAR 06, there's a special paint scheme for Rusty Wallace on there. I think it's called Rusty's Last Call, where it's like a final ride or something like that. I don't know if that car was actually raced. That would have been kind of cool if it was. But it basically has his stats on the side, like how many wins and how many championships. I think Rusty Wallace was a champion. I think he was. Yeah, I think he was. My older NASCAR knowledge is a little in the middle. I know some stats and some drivers have won championships, but some others I just don't, and I have to look it up to make sure. Doesn't mean I'm not a true NASCAR fan. It's just I just know NASCAR from 2003 to current mostly. I sometimes watch videos about NASCAR before I was born and all that. Sometimes just, oh, here it is. I guess this will do. I guess this Linux logo will do for now. Oh crap. I had it set for roof. I completely forgot I had that. I just need to cover up the lion's head. So that means the only decal I don't have is the decal for the, forgot what it's called, but I know it's a sponsor that's right underneath the Mobile One logo on the side of the car. Before this game came out, I used to make paper mache NASCAR cars. They're about the size of the ones you see in stop motions on other YouTube channels. That's how big they were. They weren't very detailed, I can admit that. But the best detail I would ever put into it was how it looked without all the sponsors and stuff. That's where it was good. Everywhere else it was either blurry or you couldn't tell what it said. I didn't include such details like the driver's name on the car or anything because that'd be too hard to cover it up with color and it would completely make the name disappear. The biggest paper mache NASCARs I had, or the largest amount, were ones I decided to make a whole 1999 season set. I only made about let's say about half the field of 1999, but I didn't have any Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt stuff yet, or paper mache versions of them mostly because I was doing the easier ones first. So that means I had like the underfunded cars, drivers that weren't as big names as others, or drivers that were just starting their career, like Dale Jr. when he first started in 1999. And honestly, I was about 13 when I started making paper mache NASCARs. What I did at first, I was planning on making the whole body, including the number, but just put the sponsorships on it. That was the original plan. Until one day, my youngest sister got into a rage problem and decided to basically destroy most of my paper mache. It destroyed almost the whole thing, the whole container I had at the time. And then, as you can imagine, me being 13 at the time, I was extremely angry. Because the fact that I did all that just to have that happen was just infuriating. Now, as these days, I don't have much paper mache stuff left, but I still have the original 2012 season set that I made when I was 13. Now, my 2012 set has multiple paint schemes, multiple drivers, has a whole field set. But the thing about them is that they were made differently than the ones I started making the next year. Instead of making them look 3D, I made them just basically look like a box car, a completely box. And I made a whole bunch of them. You can't imagine how many I had, even though they don't completely cover up with the container that I have them in. They only cover up about 25% of the container. But there's a lot of them in there. Honestly, if I could ever get an actual working camera, I would honestly show them off and show you what I did when I was younger. Now, I've always had a fascination of making custom cars, so that's mainly why I started doing paper mache versions, because I could do more stuff than I could with on a digital version where it doesn't give you much to work with. Especially with the PS3 NASCAR games, they didn't give you a lot to work with. They gave you some decals and some things, and you had to work out the rest. And some liveries I tried making were too difficult, and I decided just to abandon the project for something else. Also, when I was younger, I used to, you might laugh at me for this, but I used to think I was an actual driver. I used to think that. I would be on Facebook and all that telling about how I was doing. I told them then I realized that I was saying stuff that just didn't make any sense, so I told everyone that I wasn't an actual NASCAR driver. And I kind of some people got mad at me for it, but some others understood, because one, I was a little kid, or a little teenager, and my imagination was still through the roof. I'll admit that. Now, whenever someone asks what I do on the side, is that I just say I'm basically a virtual race driver, basically saying that I play racing games and I compete with people. Which would make more sense, because that's what I actually do. Instead of saying, when I was 13, going, oh, I race at this track and this track and this track, and all that. No. I just do it all on here. So basically, I'm a virtual driver, not a real-life driver. Honestly, if I was a real-life driver at 13, oh boy, the press would be pumped. But then again, since when would they ever let a 13-year-old race their good-looking car? Honestly, the only type of racing cars I actually did race when I was 13, and teenager was go-karts. Whenever me and my family went to a go-kart place, I'd always do some races and try to be competitive with everybody. And honestly, that's how I was. I was very competitive whenever I got in a go-kart, and sometimes I would take it a little too far. But I remember once during vacation, I think it's about 2 years ago, we went to this. I was about 17, 18 when this happened. I have two younger sisters. One that's about 3 years younger than me, and the other one's about 7 years younger than me. And so basically, what happened was I got mad at my 13-year-old sister because she basically cut me off a lot of times on the track, and I got extremely mad, and I went to confront her, but my parents stepped in immediately to cool me off before I did something stupid. I actually had to go to the bathroom to cool down because I was extremely angry. And what she did basically was I would try to pass her, and she would turn right into me, so she's preventing me from passing her. She would call it racing, I'd call it just dirty driving. Okay. It gets a little infuriating. From that day, I learned I needed to cool my temper. And believe it or not, she actually did better the last time we went to a go-kart place, which was actually last August. We went on a vacation, and the vacation place had a go-kart track, and we went down there. She did fairly decently better, but she still made little mistakes here and there. And I'm not the judge, but whenever I see something that's wrong or it's been done wrong, I call it out. Most of the time I won't, because I don't want to seem like an official. That and most of the go-karts she got were very slow, so it was easy to pass. It was easy to pass her, which honestly didn't put up much of a challenge, but the only dumb thing she did was she tried to block me when I was coming up really fast behind her. Which is dangerous, especially on a go-kart track. That, and when I was slowing down to put the cart back, she didn't put on her brakes, and she just flat out ran right into the back of me. I had a headache afterwards, and I got angry. But I calmed down and just shrugged it off and just chilled out. And then we played on a golf course. They had a golf course in the miniature golf course in the go-kart place. Basically, what we did was we played a quick game, but my youngest sister was just complaining about it the entire time. And my parents don't take it too kindly. I mean, they're not. They just basically said, like, to quit it, and then eventually my mother had to. Well, we actually finished the game, but afterwards, we went home afterwards because my youngest sister decided to constantly complain about something. I don't know why she complained so much, but we just went home after that. Now, me and my other younger sister, we get along pretty well. We only argue when it comes to certain issues. We don't argue too much, and whenever we do argue, we just mess around with each other. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad to say this at this point. I mean, before I graduated high school, I had the whole football team behind my back that could help me out, support me whenever I needed it. But Now these days, my sister's now taken over that role of being a best friend, technically. Even though when I go to college and there's some people that I knew from high school there, most of the time I don't get to hang out with them that much. Maybe it's 10-15 minutes before they gotta go do something, and then I'm all alone again. I mean, I do have my license, but I just don't know. I get nervous about a lot of things. It's part of really who I am. Like I get nervous for no reason at times. Sometimes I worry, like when I'm driving, I worry about, oh, what's gonna happen if I ever get pulled over by a cop? Will my nervousness do something that'll startle him, or what? That's what I think every time, whenever I'm out on the road. I always worry about getting pulled over for some awkward reason. And I know I won't, because I always pay attention to the signs of the road and pay attention to the rules, so I'm not breaking any laws or anything. Where is that blasted decal I needed?